And welcome back to the CNN YouTube Debate Countdown. Next Monday, that would be July 23rd, for those of you who haven't memorized the calendars for the month. We will host a first-of-its-kind presidential debate. The Democrat candidates will be in Charleston, South Carolina, taking questions from people all over the world. So far, some 1,300 questions have been posted on the video sharing website, YouTube. And all week long, we are going to play the very best ones, exploring some of the critical issues that they raise. Now, a lot of the questions deal with one of this year's most contentious issues, the immigration crisis.
So I think getting new immigration laws in place is critical for the U.S. right now. I have my own ideas on how to solve the current immigration problems, but I'd love to hear yours.
The diversity of each American's ancestry helped to shape this country into what it is today. Now, just as Vikings were explorers and immigrants in search of better lives, so too were those who still come to America yearning to breathe free. My question to you is this: how do you plan to deal with illegal immigration?
We are a country of immigrants, yet today, immigration is dividing our nation. Why do you think the present immigration law is not being enforced? And what will you do to solve this problem with justice and fairness?
Hello, my name is Antonio and I'm from Mexico. There are a lot of Mexican workers in the United States. Some are legal and some are not. So these are my questions for all the candidates. What do you think about the militarization of the border and the fence being built there?
So here's my question. What are the chances Bjorn will make the cut next week with that headgear? Some very important issues raised, though, by all of those folks who were nice enough to videotape their questions on an issue that has dominated the headlines this year, but one that has gone nowhere in Washington. So exactly where do the Democratic candidates stand on immigration? We decided to take a look.
We want to have a situation in which those who are already here, are playing by the rules, are willing to pay a fine and go through a rigorous process, should have a pathway to legalization.
There doesn't need to be a 700-mile fence.
There are at least 11 million illegal immigrants in the U.S. right now. Dealing with them was a hot topic at our last Democratic presidential debate, and it could be back in the spotlight again next week. Here's why. In a CNN poll last month, 15% of you thought it was the most important issue to your vote for president.
The motion is not agreed to.
Immigration reform went down in flames in the Senate last month. All 4 Democratic senators running for president voted for the bill. But New Mexico Governor Bill Richardson, the only Latino White House hopeful, changed his mind and ended up opposing the bill.
I would not support legislation that divided families. I would not support legislation that builds a wall, a Berlin-type wall between 2 countries, the way the bill in the Congress exists today.
The death of the Senate bill could hurt Republicans' chances at holding on to the White House. Other than Senator John McCain, just about all of the GOP presidential contenders were dead set against the immigration reform plan.
The security of American borders should not be conditioned on amnesty.
That kind of talk is music to conservatives, but could hurt Republicans among Latino voters, who are the nation's largest and fastest growing minority.
According to the exit polls, Latino voters in 2006 cared more about immigration than voters of any other race, and 70% of the Latinos who cared about the issue voted Democratic. If both of those trends hold true in 2008, that could be very bad news for the Republicans.
With me now, syndicated columnist Miguel Perez, who's also a journalism professor at New York's Lehman College, attorney and USA Today contributor Paul Reyes. Also here, Republican strategist Leslie Sanchez, author of the new book, Los Republicanos, Why Hispanics and Republicans Need Each Other. Welcome, all.
Thank you.
Thank Leslie, I want to start with a graphic to show just how important the immigration issue is to those who were polled among the YouTube folks involved in this. And I think it's pretty easy to understand why it impacts all of us. But help us better understand how deeply it resonates with all Americans.
You know, that's a great point. There's an incredible level of intensity on the issue of immigration. But if you look, that was issue number 5. And even in a Latino coalition poll of Hispanic voters, you saw that immigration was issue number 5 among Hispanics as well. So Hispanics are very much thinking the same way that general market voters are. The reason it's important is this is a debate on our national identity. And there's a reason it takes 20 years or more before Congress attempts to do something about our immigration laws. It's clouded in fear, racism, untruths, but it has to be done. And this is something that cannot be done in the dead of night by a Congress that's trying to push it through. It has to be done correctly. It has to address real issues that Americans care about.
Let's move on to one of the questions posted on the YouTube website to give our audience a flavor of what they might be hearing next week. Let's listen together.
Recently voted for the immigration bill. Can you explain your vote to give amnesty to 12 million illegal immigrants in our country?
All right, Miguel, Richard's first part of his question got clipped there, but he was addressing it to Hillary Clinton, basically saying this bill is the same thing as giving amnesty to some 12 million Americans.
And when did amnesty become a 4-letter word? It used to be that we were proud to be.
It is an amnesty, but how should she answer that question?
Well, the Democratic candidates, how Hillary should, she's answering those questions pretty well. As a matter of fact, of the presidential candidates, Hillary has handled the immigration question pretty well, especially during the New Hampshire debate when she was asked about the movement to make English the official language. She also, on that other issue, was very, very clear, basically explained that, look, all these senators already voted to make English the national language. Sure. Making it official has legal implications, like taking away the bilingual ballots.
Gotcha. But come down to the very specific issue of these 12 million Americans are here who are here illegally, breaking the law. This latest reform bill that went down in flames.
But even
would you consider that amnesty, or was it, as the president says,
even the people who are adamantly against them,
a pathway to citizenship?
It was earned citizenship, and actually, you know what? I think Hillary, out of all the candidates, as you said, she is very well prepared to defend it. She is has very well articulated herself on this issue, and she's spoken of the need to balance the needs of the agricultural industry, the healthcare industry, national security, and the 12 million people who are here undocumented. She's very conversant on this issue, and I'll say one thing for Hillary. She has made superb outreach efforts for the Latino community. She knows what she's doing in this issue.
Hey,
she has
Leslie,
it together.
I'm standing here in the Hillary corner tonight, it seems. I know you're no big fan of Hillary Clinton's, but of all of the candidates who are running for president, who has the best shot at making any progress on this issue?
Republican and Democrat?
Yeah,
I do have
either
to ask
side.
That. You know, clearly I'm going to say Republicans.
I'm so surprised.
Well, the reason,
oh my God, I'm stunned. I'm amazed.
Main reason point that people forget, for the last 3 presidential elections, Democrats have been in a free fall with Latino voters, losing nearly 20 points since 1996 and that high reached by Bill Clinton. It has been a precipitous drop, and what has stopped that is this immigration debate. So what is the impetus? What is the impetus? If I can finish my point very quickly.
Yeah,
what is the motivation for Democrats to take on the immigration issue and do something about securing our borders? There isn't one, because as long as they believe it's something that can divide Republicans, they're going to stand by the sidelines and not take any action.
Okay. Leslie, one thing you're missing, if anything, is the Republicans who are in the Hispanic panic right now. Latino support for Republicans is in a free fall. Right now, only 11% of Latinos self-identify as Republicans. So it's a huge challenge for the GOP.
Hispanic are we, right? Hispanic. Now let me make very quickly one quick point. I just wrote a column saying that as McCain was the only hope, as far as I'm concerned, as on the whole Republican team, the only hope for Latinos to get a good amount of votes for Republicans was McCain. As McCain slips in the polls, Latinos leverage with the Democratic candidates is lost. Why? Because we could always say to the Democrats, hey, we have McCain. There is a Republican alternative. Now we're losing that alternative. What happens? The Democrats are going to take the Latino vote for granted, as they always have.
Okay, what happens now is that I got to go to a commercial break. As much as I'd love to listen to all 3 of you, Miguel Perez, Raul Reyes, Leslie Sanchez, thanks. Not only mucho gusto. Not only are most of the YouTube questions coming from young people, the stories behind their questions are really interesting. Listen to this guy.
I have served in the United States Marine Corps. I have deployed in support of Operation Iraqi Freedom, and I am also an Afghan American.
A lot of interesting backstories behind these questions that will, some of them be posed to the presidential candidates. You're going to meet this gentleman as well as another questioner with a fascinating story. Please hang around. We'll all be back.